explicit violence in your writings?
It's what I do, is one answer. I write horror fiction. There is a kind of curiosity that we have as human beings about our life processes. One of our last life processes is death. It's a legitimate subject for curiosity. We shouldn't be ashamed that the macabre or the morbid exercises some fascination upon us. I tell it like it is. If it's there in my mind's eye, I put it on the page. And that seems to me to be a legitimate way to write.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on the Written and Read podcast. That is the Horror Reader and Writers podcast. Got a great episode this week. We are getting back to our self-publishing arc, which, if you haven't gone through the prior episodes, we sort of go through the entire process from, can I write, to the ideas and concepts of writing, up into building your book, software, everything of that nature, up until now, which is the Repulsive release, right? And we even talked about distribution in a episode from maybe a month back. So if you haven't listened to those episodes yet, we recommend going back and getting through those. The HorrorCon episodes and the Halloween and Thanksgiving special are sort of just bonus episodes that aren't really pertaining to the publishing arc. So if you want to kind of be up to date with that, just make sure you listen to those prior ones. But today we're talking about the Repulsive release. And of course we have an author spotlight that we're going to be bringing forward. But before we do that, we want to do our introductions. So I'm Aaron Beauregard, Splatterpunk award-nominated author for my book, The Slob. I'm also, I think by the time this comes out, my book, All Smiles Until I Return, will probably be available at least in hardcover. And then just look for the paperback and also the ebook coming up. And hopefully my audiobook, Wedding Day Massacre, which is my first audiobook that I'm releasing, should be approved by the time you're checking this out. And we got Daniel.
Hey everyone, Daniel J. Volpe, author of Billy Silver, Talia, Gift of Death, and my newest book from D&T Publishing, Left to You, which is out now on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and hardcover. And I'm not sure when the release of the audiobook will be, but A Gift of Death is in the process of being produced as an audiobook. So it may be out at this time. So if it is, there's a really talented narrator doing that. So make sure you guys go and check that out if you're an audiobook fan. Carver Pike?
Carver Pike, author of the Diablo Snuff series. I just recently released the final book in Diablo Snuff, The Maddening. So it's out now, paperback. It's out on Amazon. And I wrote Scalp, Grad Night, a bunch of other books. I don't know. My head's frozen right now. I can't think. Roland?
Hey everybody, Roland Bursey Jr., author of Payback is a Witch, a witchy book, author of Unbortion, Pre-Thanksgiving's Justice Order, and I got a couple of stories in a few collections coming out in the next couple of months, and working on another individual release, which hopefully will be out somewhere around February.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. All right, so that we are the Written and Read podcast. We're going to be getting into our author spotlight right now, but remember afterwards we are going over the Repulsive release. Very excited about that. We've all done a few releases relatively recently, so we should have plenty of insight. But Daniel, do you want to start out with the author spotlight?
I fucking sure do, Aaron. So today we're gonna talk about one of the, I'd call him an OG of splatterpunk and extreme horror, and his most popular work, I think that he gets the most recognition for, is General Grinder. I unfortunately don't have a copy of that on hand, but it's pretty savage. But we are talking about Ryan Harding. I have here one of his, this was actually an older book that he just re-released through Death's Head Press called Reincarnage, Maximum Carnage, and he did this with Jason Taverner. This book just looks sick. It is about 500 pages, 475 pages of craziness. I haven't read this one yet. I have this high up on the TBR because it just sounds great. This is from Death's Head, and Death's Head actually did this and the sequel to this, Reincursion, in the old, not even old school, but like the original like trade paperback size, which I really love this size. I don't know if it's like a 4x7, but it's a great size book. I got these directly from Death's Head Press on their website, and it came with some cool swag. So check out Death's Head Press online, and you can grab these. They're also available on Amazon. And, of course, this is no shock to anyone because we mentioned it in the last episode with the co-author, Lucas Mangum. But Ryan Harding also was a fucking mastermind behind this phenomenal piece of fiction. This is Pandemonium. Again, another Death's Head Press release. So you're definitely going to want to check these out. You know, Ryan, not only is he a great author, but the guy is just a fucking nice guy to talk to. Again, he's been around extreme horror and splatterpunk for years and years, but he's still out there sharing the newer author's work, reading it. He participated. Aaron, he was one of the judges in the Gross Out contest, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so.
So
he was on a. Forgive me if I don't recall. It was some time ago, but he was on a lot of panels. Like he was on the collaboration panel. I remember that 100%. And I thought, like, I was particularly interested to hear him talk about collaboration, just because a lot of his books are collaborations. You know what I mean? I have Genital Grinder on my Kindle, and that one was a fucking awesome book. And it seems like he's had a nice push recently and released kind of a wave of new material, which I'm sure would really be exciting to fans of like Genital Grinder and some of his older, more classic stuff, you know?
And I believe he wrote Header 3 with Edward Lee. Like he co-wrote Header 3. Nice. I mean, to write anything with Edward Lee is amazing, and to have Ed Lee give him that endorsement that he's good enough to write in his world. I mean, I can't think of anybody better to promote someone than that. So, what about Carver? Have you read anything by Ryan?
No, I actually just bought Pandemonium on I think not this most recent Killer Con, but the one prior to that. He read from Pandemonium. It was like right before it came out. And he read, I think, the beginning of Pandemonium. And I was sold as soon as he said that it drew some inspiration from Lamberto Bava's Demons. One of my favorite movies, man. One of my favorite horror movies. As soon as he said that, I was like sold. So he did an awesome reading of that. He's funny as hell, too, man. And he's, like you said, he's in a lot of those panels and stuff like that, and just awesome, dude. But I just bought Pandemonium, but I haven't cracked it open yet. So
I
want those ones you were just showing, because I have looked at those ones too, the Reincursion and the
Carnage, the Maximum Carnage. I mean, this is about a pretty much a killer named Agent Orange who just seems like he just fucking goes on a killing spree. But if you guys have ever read anything by Ryan Harding, you know how detailed and how good his writing is. So you're going to get almost 500 pages of fucking ass beating. And the art is amazing. I think our fucking lover boy, Brad Tierney, actually has this original painting. I think he ended up buying it.
Beautiful.
I'm pretty sure I saw him post something like that. So
it's like a post-apocalyptic slasher or something, right? Kind of. It's something like, isn't that like a post-apocalyptic book?
It says, you thought it was over. 11 people awaken in an abandoned motel. Transported from all over the United States, they have no memory of the journey and no idea where they are or why anyone would take them. Then they find the blood and the heads mounted on the stakes. It's not over. 30 years ago in the town of Morgan, a Vietnam vet embarked on a killing spree that ultimately cost him his life. Then he resurrected to do it again and again and again. Morgan has since been evacuated by the government and enclosed by walls 30 feet high to contain the inhuman slayer known as Agent Orange. And he came back. Now confined to his hunting grounds, the abducted must survive the kill zone, where Agent Orange has traps and weapons stashed all around, an almost omniscient ability to stalk, and lifetimes to perfect the art of butchery with an endless canvas of human flesh.
Sounds badass, man.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
If there's a book that deserves a movie, I haven't even read the book, and I already want to see the movie.
Yeah. Sounds badass.
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, if anybody out there hasn't checked out anything by Ryan Harding, definitely do that. friend him on Facebook. He's on social media. Reach out to him, talk to him if you want. Like we said in our last episode, don't fucking bother him if you're a weirdo. Send all the weirdos to Roland. Roland apparently has no weirdos on Facebook, so
no weirdos.
If you're a weirdo, contact Roland Bursey Jr. RolandBurseyJr.com.
Oh.
And,
Now I know what the website's for.
Yeah, now I know. And Roland Bursey Jr. at OnlyFans.com.
That one you have to pay for.
Yeah, it's worth it.
$9.99 a month.
It's worth it, bitches.
And I just wanted to say too, like Genital Grinder was fucking awesome. I read I think most of it some time ago. There was a really awesome story in there that was like about a guy that brings home like a really heavy girl to fucking sleep with, and while she's like riding on top of him, like she fucking dies on him, and he's like pinned down and like can't fucking move because this woman's like so massive that he chose to bring home. And some of it was just fucking really like comical, but just really well done. And his Edward Lee gives like, I don't know if it's like the forward in the book, and it's funny, like one of the things that Edward Lee wrote, because I usually don't even read forwards. For some reason I just decided to read it, and he was saying like, that he had sought out Edward and thought that like, his writing was fucking amazing, and shared with him that like he wanted to be like sort of like write the same material, but I guess he had written like metal song lyrics and shit before that, and he asked him like, oh, would you like take a look at some of these metal song lyrics? And I'm trying to find the quote. Yeah, okay. He's like, I've long since lost these lyrics, or perhaps deleted them for fear of their negativity might plunge me into an abysm of clinical depression. But I recall and suspect I always will the final line. We fucked her good, my knife and I. I don't know, that just stood out to me. I just thought it was funny to see some of his old lyric put in there, and it made me laugh out loud, which was cool. Yeah. And nice. I strongly recommend that. I think that's a great introduction into his work. If you seem like a little bit intimidated by a larger volume, maybe start with Genital Grinder. It's real fast moving, and cover's great. It's a classic. Yeah,
it's a Deadite. That's one of the Deadite covers.
Yeah.
Yep. Deadite Press. All right, there we go. Ryan Harding. There you have it. Show your support. He's definitely his name should be mentioned more, I think.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But let's get into it, guys. So now we're moving into the Repulsive release. So at this point we've talked about, creating the book, the concepts, how we go about writing it, editing it, getting that cover, figuring out how we're going to distribute it to everyone. And now we're like ready to go. We're ready to pull the trigger and release the book. So let's just talk about, let's talk about some learning points, okay? Because I'll tell you a quick thing for me personally. When I was originally releasing books, I didn't have a social media presence. Like literally no one knew I was releasing these books. I think I released like a good 3 or 4 books. Like when the original version of the Slob came out, almost nobody bought that book. Like there's literally probably only like 100 copies of it in existence. So after a while though, I was like, obviously I got to get onto fucking social media. And now like my release process has completely evolved, and now it involves all these things. You know what I mean? Like, particularly with like pre-orders and sort of getting people signed special edition copies during that initial wave. Number one, because, if the demand is there, you want to satisfy your reader. But number two, on these initial waves, it's a great way to make back a lot of the cost, that you've accrued with the editing of the book, with the, the cover art, whatever cost that you have spent, with a proper release and pre-order system. I think you can easily recoup that, if you have even just a moderate following. I think, Daniel, maybe I'll toss it to you for a second. So how just because as we're kicking off here, I just want to understand how your release process evolved.
So my release process originally, like you guys, I started off self-publishing. So, like Aaron said, my first book that I released on my own, Billy Silver, I really didn't have a process because that book was I submitted to publishers and it got rejected. So when I decided to do it on my own, it was kind of like a knee-jerk thing. And like Aaron said, like I kind of set it free into the world. I made a couple social media posts. At the time, I think I only had Facebook, and the book did okay for what it was. Now things have changed. Now that I primarily publish my books through a publisher, there's certain release schedules that I have to go on. When my publisher says this is when your book is going to get released, then I know. But leading up to it, like you guys do as well, I always try to tease a little bit if I can. If I can release a little bit of the cover art. I know for Aaron and I was so sorry we had that Flesh-O-Lantern puking jack-o'-lantern skin pumpkin thing. We released that right away, but we kept the cover kind of a secret. A little bit of a teaser along the way there. I don't know, Aaron, do you want me to go into the some of the website stuff now, or do you want to wait until we get a little more into it?
Maybe hold off on that for now.
Okay.
Because that's going to involve some screen sharing so the people viewing on YouTube can actually see some of the stuff.
Okay.
But to your point, right, if you look at it, I mean, we started out just releasing books having no fucking clue, like, what's going on. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, there's a slow build here, right? It's like you post a little bit of the artwork, like you said, to draw the interest, and then get your release date sort of hammered out. And then, like, we've even evolved into doing, like, thanks to, like, guys like Brandon over at Spook Rat Special Effects, even doing, like, book trailers for us, you know what I mean? And I think those are all different, like, promotional tools to kind of amp shit up before the release comes and to sort of start logging those pre-orders, or at the very least, hopefully seeing the sales surge once it goes live. So some other things that a lot of authors do. What's your guys' feeling on ARC distribution? Like, and for anyone who's listening, ARC, it stands for Advanced Reader Copy. So the concept behind this is that you give some of your readers advanced copies of the book to sort of digest, right? And then they can sort of share their experience when the book comes out. And it's a win-win. The reader enjoys getting the free advanced copy, and it serves as a promotional tool for when they share their experience on social media. But like Carver, for example, what's your feeling on advanced reader copy distribution?
I'm still kind of going through that myself, because on the romance side of things, it's a must. And I mean, a lot of authors will give out upwards of 100 ARC copies. That seems to be like the standard. I mean, some of the ones that teach classes and stuff on promoting and releasing a book and stuff like that swear by giving out at least 100 ARC copies. And that might be the right thing to do. To me, that's a bit much. I don't give out quite that many. I'm still building kind of a Carver ARC team. I'm still having an issue where some of the people that I give the ARCs to aren't doing reviews and things like that. They're not actually. It's tough, because when you give the books out, you have to trust. You're hoping that these people that you're giving a free book to are actually going to read it and review it. Whether it's a great review or it's a 1-star review, you just want to review it, right? And so you're kind of trying to build that trust. You got to see who actually does review your books, who didn't do it the last round. The people that you've seen who just want a free book and they're not going to actually read and review it, things like that. I mean, so it's kind of a trial by error type of thing. I think for the Maddening, I probably gave out, I think right now my ARC team, I only have like 15 people or something on it. So I did use some ARCs with the Maddening, and I'm still kind of going through that process and trying to decide how I'm going to do it. So I got to work on that a little bit. But yes, I do use some ARC.
Yeah.
I do have some ARC. Yeah.
I think I could be better with it personally too. Like, I really don't utilize ARC that much. Honestly, some of my readers, like Karina, for example, I will usually always give her everything in advance just because she was like the first one to read all my work. And then I typically end up working with Mort You know, I really like working with Mort in general. So I don't really have. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go. Sorry, I cut you off, so I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I really don't have a team, but maybe that's something I could start to think about in the future. But so far, I don't think that it's been a hindrance. Although some of the books do take a little while longer to get reviews rolling in, but I feel good about the reviews because it's all like, you know, like
organic.
Organic, very detached. It's just like, you know, I don't want anyone to feel like, not that they would, you know what I mean? But I don't know. That's just how I see it sometimes. But what about you, Roland? Do you do anything with arcs at all? As far as those
Not really. Mort, like you said, he actually edited Pre-Thanksgiving Stress Disorder, and he did a review prior to it being released. But I've never really used ARC readers. I think it's something definitely that could be beneficial. But like you said, you have to know who you can give the book to, whether or not they're really going to read it and give you a review in a timely fashion. So yeah, I never utilized it. Do you guys find like that it's overwhelming sometimes with so many different avenues for being able to start that release process? Like, you know, putting a little bit here on Facebook, putting a little bit here on Twitter. So is it like too much, or do you guys how do you guys handle that?
Well, actually, Roland,
it's almost perfect segue.
Yeah.
What?
So
go for it. Go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. No, it's perfect.
That's perfect segue, really.
Before you got on, when you stiffed us and said you're going to be on at a specific time and didn't show up, the rest of us. Now, so let me just backtrack a little bit. There is another phenomenal podcast that anybody that is a writer, especially an indie writer, needs to be listening to, and that is the Mondo Method. And that is a podcast on. I listen to it on Spotify, but I think it's pretty wide out there. That is Armand Rosamilia and Chuck Buda. They're almost like 300 episodes in right now at this point. They've been doing it for a couple of years. And for those of you that don't know, Armand is a hybrid author. He does a lot of self-published stuff, and he does some traditionally published stuff. Chuck Buda, I believe at this point in time, is just a self-published author. And these guys will go over how to self-publish, and a big thing is advertising. So one of the tools that Armand uses a lot is a program and an app called Buffer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on my computer now, and I'm going to screen share with everyone so everybody can see this. So if you guys don't have the YouTube channel, or aren't watching this on YouTube, now might be the time to try to go over onto YouTube. So Armand,
I call him Digital Danny, dude. He's so computer savvy. Like you guys are gonna be blown away. But I'm not.
It's funny. I'm fucking a complete bag of shit with computers. But this is really easy to hit share screen.
I was being sarcastic. Thank you.
I know. You're a scumbag. But I digress. So I spoke with Armand the other day, and we talked about some marketing things and how to progress, and Buffer is one of them. So I will share screen.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys now you're looking at Buffer, and this pretty much what this does is this allows you to schedule posts for your social media. So this is my calendar for the month.
Wow.
So all of these right here, these are scheduled posts that will be coming up later on. So tonight, I don't have anything. My last post just went up on Twitter, and if you go on Twitter right now, you'll see that Talia, that this ad was just posted on Twitter at 8:08 p.m. Eastern time. So tomorrow,
only one like, dude. That's fucking bunk. Let me like that shit for you.
You know who liked it too? It was, Brian Boyer. That dude's fucking awesome.
Oh, that guy's great. Yeah,
I love that man. He likes everything. So again, you could see this is all my schedules, and I'll tell you this, guys, now because this will be in the future. But like I have a 99-cent deal coming up for Billy Silver on the 18th, and as you can see, I have it scheduled for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook on the 18th, and then again Twitter or Instagram, Twitter, and then the 20th, and so on and so forth. The good thing with Buffer is if you don't have a lot of social media platforms, like I only have 3, you can use 3 accounts, which that's all I need on the free version, and you can use 10 posts per account. So right now I have almost 30 posts pending for distribution. This is great too for those of us that have international readers, because we have some readers that most of our readers are in the UK, Canada, and the US. We have some Australian readers, but you might get those. I have one reader who lives in Israel. There's a couple that live in Europe, in mainland Europe there. So their time zones are a lot different. So if you set your buffer time zones into the middle of the night for our time, you might be getting them when they're starting to wake up. So it's a great tool. I think everybody that is an author that is really wanting to learn a little bit of promotion and to get a free promotion, definitely get on social media, the big 3, and definitely check out Buffer. And check out the Mondo Method, because that show's fucking great. Chuck and Armand are hilarious, and they give a ton of great information.
Excellent. Oh, go ahead.
Do y'all see any kind of so with the whole changes with Facebook, do y'all think that that's going to start affecting us in the future pretty soon?
So for Facebook, I will say this, though. For Facebook and Instagram, you have to have a business account. So what you saw there for Facebook is not my personal profile, is a author page, and same thing with Instagram. If you go on your Instagram account and just go down to your settings, you'll find a section that allows you to turn your profile into a business profile. You have to do that in order for it to post on Instagram. But Twitter doesn't give a fuck. You can just post whatever you want. There's also other social media platforms you can select on there. I think like LinkedIn, and there's a couple other ones. TikTok's not on there, but there's a couple of other bigger ones too.
But going back to Roland's question, what did you mean by that, Roland, with these Facebook changes?
So Facebook was, I think they either sold or is going to be changing to like Metaverse.
Meta, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know have y'all thought about how that might affect your posts on Facebook or your ability to advertise on Facebook?
What were there changes announced as far as posting regulations? Because I'll just tell you what I was aware of is the whole VR concept and digital hangouts, things of that nature. Which, I mean, the motherfucker's building the Matrix basically.
Yeah,
but,
pretty much. Well, we'll see. I guess we have to wait to see what changes happen. Go ahead, Carver.
Yeah, from what I read online, what I saw was that a lot of what we see is not going to change. I mean, Facebook is still going to remain profile and all that, and all that will still stay the same, and Instagram and stuff. Just the umbrella company is changing to this Meta, whatever, and they'll probably add more stuff from Facebook, because right now that's Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. So they'll probably start adding other shit there and stuff, and just making a bigger kind of umbrella company, I think. Whereas right now it's like Facebook itself owns WhatsApp, Instagram. You know what I mean? I think they're just making one of he owns them all. So.
I think one of the big things you're going to see for Facebook and Instagram, especially, is you're going to get a lot of pay to play kind of things. Like in the past, you'd buy a Facebook ad to try to boost your posts. Like I just did one recently. But if you guys notice, sometimes you'll post something. I think we've talked about this with links, where some of your shit just doesn't seem to find an audience. Like one day you'll have a post and you'll have 600 likes on it, and the next day you'll post something and there'll be a link in it to Amazon and there'll be 15 likes on it. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that something like Buffer that links your professional pages is key, and making sure that you stay on top of that and getting your information out there to a wider audience.
And guys, look, this is a lot, okay? People listening right now that are man, I'm just thinking about writing my first book, and dude, this shit, there is a lot to it, and it can be exhausting. And we're not saying you have to pick this all up immediately. No. But these are tools that in the long run, if you're going to want to try and sell for a living, like anything else, like any other business, you're going to need to get your message out without it being stunted, like Daniel was just talking about. But I think going back to the metaverse real quick, though, if we could, I think as an impact right now to what we do, I don't think it's going to be there, because it's going to take some time before it's built up in the type of audience until it gets Matrix level, where motherfuckers are meeting up on Friday night to play pool in the room with like your Slob or Diablo Snuff NFT hanging on the wall, right? But think about it like 5-10 years from now, okay? I mean, it could be an incredibly useful tool for authors too. Imagine hosting like a book release party digitally with all these people together, and they're sort of in the form that, you know, they think is cool. You know, they're dressed like horror or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it could be a really cool thing, but I just think we're like away from that curve quite a bit still.
Oh yeah.
But it's totally on my radar. You know, I don't and it's like I prefer in the flesh personally, you know what I mean? Like Clive Barker, but I think it could be a valuable tool, you know, especially to like give back to your readers in other countries, to host a party together, hang out, like it could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something you said. First of all, can you guys hear me and see me still okay, or am I on Mind Carver? Because everybody's home, I think. And okay. Well, I was going to say is you were saying this is a lot, you know, for people that just want to, you know, write their first book and stuff. I can almost guarantee too that there are probably people listening to us that are just like, fuck all this. This is why I'm going traditionally published, because it's going to be so much easier. They're going to handle that for me. Well, bullshit. First of all, that's not really how it works anymore. That's not the way of the world anymore. Whether you have a literary agent or you go the traditional route and end up with a publisher, you're still, if you want to sell books, you are still going to be busting your ass to do things on your own too. No publisher is going to handle all this stuff for you. So they might handle some of the paid advertisement and stuff like that for you, but you're still going to have to build an author presence and build, you know, a fan base and a readership and stuff like that. I mean, so all this is still going to be valuable. So if you cut us off because you think, fuck all this noise, I'm just going to go traditional, you're still missing out on some good information. So.
And like to speak to that, you know, don't expect your publisher, especially in the indie world, to be shelling out hundreds of dollars for paid advertising when you're getting a good portion of the royalties. You know, most of these indie publishers are just like you and I. They don't have a team of editors and, you know, printers and stuff like that. It's usually a 1 or 2 person operation, and usually they'll freelance out some of the work. And that is it. They don't have a ton of money. And my publisher for my last 2 books, D&T Publishing, you know, Dawn, who is the owner of D&T, one of the owners, she does a great job promoting the books, but she's only one person with a full-time job and with a family. So even though she goes above and beyond to post everything on social media, you might not get that with some of these other publishers. They might just publish your book and say, good luck. And like Carver said, it's on you. So if you want to build your brand and you want to get it out there, you got to put the time in to find these sites, to sit down and work at these, and to try to learn it. And some people don't want to, and that's okay. You just kind of want to let it grow naturally. But you're only going to get so far with just, you know, making one Facebook post, you know, every couple days. You got to buy ads. You got to discover these websites that are going to boost your material.
Yeah. You always got to be looking for the next thing, and you're not going to know if something works until you try it. You know what I mean? That's why, you know, Daniel, you know, he's trying to see what he can do to grow. So he's reaching out to people that he has a relationship with respectfully, right? And he's asking for advice, trying new things, see if they work. Yeah. If they do, rinse and repeat, you know, and look for other things. If they don't, then, you know, you keep the hunt going. Eventually, you'll hit.
The one thing I will say to advertising, and another you know, tip that I've picked up is a lot of people think that they're going to buy one ad on a podcast and they're going to have a New York Times bestseller. These things, they take time, and I'm just really starting into the advertising world, and I have been guilty of throwing like $25 ad out there and being like, fuck, I didn't get anything. I only got, you know, 15 purchases on it. You have to be patient with it, I think, and you have to be able to spend some money. And if that's not an option, then, you know, there are free routes getting on podcasts and stuff, but you might need to make that decision where you're going to say, I'm going to drop $200 this month on advertising and try to build, you know, 50 to 100 new readers of my work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point with podcast, Daniel. That's actually one of our bullets, right? They take minimal time to do. Like if somebody asks you to do a podcast appearance, maybe they only get 100 listens or something a month, but you never know if it's going to blow up and take off, and then a bunch of people are going to hear your episode. For the most part, they live forever unless they cancel the podcast. Yeah. But I mean, an hour of your time could lead to who knows how many sales or exposure. It's a good thing to do if you have the time. But again, we understand a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are also probably working a full-time job on top of it. But, if you could squeeze in one a month maybe or something, it's good. Or start your own podcast at your leisure. You know what I mean? Fuck it.
I'm going back and listening to the horror show with Brian Keene. It's like, I mean, that's finished. It's over with. And I just went back and started way back on episode 1 from 2015. Yeah. I've been listening to like at least an episode a day, man. I'm like every single episode. And there's so much that you learn even from those old episodes, and they're not going anywhere. Even like my YouTube show, First Chapter Freak Show, like I only have about 200 subscribers right now. But YouTube, as long as YouTube's not going anywhere, I have no intention of taking those down. So as it slowly grows, and even if I stop doing it at some point and they stay there, if somebody goes to YouTube and types in horror author, live reading or something like that, they might discover, my first episode, which was Eric Butler's The Popelick Massacre, 5 years from now. You know what I mean? And decide to go pick up a copy of that book. So that stuff lives on forever, really.
And I've seen a resurgence with Nick Cutter's The Deep. That book's been out for a while now, and The Troop as well. And all of a sudden, it's hit a few TikTok reviewers are getting onto it, and all of a sudden, that book is starting to take off again. So, like Carver just said, you never know. It's worth it to put in the time to reach out to some podcasts. There's so many of them out there nowadays that are looking for authors to interview. Yeah. And just the worst thing they can say is, hey, they'll go fuck off. Like, they might just say, no, we're booked up, but reach out, see what they say, and that shit will live on forever.
Have you guys ever tried, like, any of the Fiverr advertisements? Do y'all trust those, or how do you feel about that?
No, honestly, I don't think they're really going to do much more for you than you can't do yourself. I am not, contrary to popular belief, I am not good with computers, but I was able to figure
Digital
out Digital
Danny.
Yeah, I'm not Mind Carver, I'm Digital Dan. I was able to figure out Buffer within fucking 10 minutes, and the hardest part of that is just taking the time to create your posts. Yeah. I'd rather go out and purchase my own ads that are directed towards horror readers than pay somebody on Fiverr a certain amount of money that I could use that to spend on creating my own ads. So I'm sure there are some great people out there that are almost like a literary agent on Fiverr that will promote your stuff, but for me, I haven't really had good luck with that.
Well, it's like pay attention, to the trends, right? Like as far as technology goes, right? Like TikTok was a relatively new thing from the last few years, right? And it's like, as new technology and new ways of people connecting come together, all that work that you put out that's still floating around on the internet, it just takes one person to get it, and then it spreads like a virus. You know what I mean? So eventually, if your work is appealing to the public, it's just a matter of time, but it could be a long time, unfortunately. But it's
like a creative STD.
Yeah, precisely. But let's also talk about newsletters, because and we were talking about this a little bit before the show started. Sending out newsletters can be pretty important, especially if you have a release coming out, because you want to make sure that your diehard readers get notification. And again, we also talk about building the mailing list, because should you get banned on social media accidentally, people get banned over stupid stuff, even if you're put up one of your book descriptions and maybe something gets flagged in that, right? You get a fucking 3-day ban, let's say, and then you're fucking over nothing malicious, just a pure accident, a description of a book, and your book's being released tomorrow, and then suddenly you don't have contact with your readers. That's why you really need that safety net, right? So you could still have that communication outside of it. Now, I know Daniel was talking about what was it, Canvas? or Canva.
Canva, yeah.
He was using Canva to build his. I was building mine in Google Docs, and then sort of storing all my contacts in my Gmail contacts, and blind copying everyone when I did mine. And then Carver was talking about how he just created a Substack, and after I had heard rumblings about Substack, but we kind of looked at his page, and maybe you could talk a little bit more about that, because based on what we talked about, I'm definitely going to be moving to Substack.
Yeah, so I'm not the greatest with newsletters. I always have admitted that. I mean, I just told these guys I spent probably over $200 last year just maintaining an account with MailerLite, I think is who I had, which is a great service. I mean, they have awesome templates. It's very easy to put together. It's all drag and drop and stuff. But once you hit a certain amount of subscribers, and on the romance side, I want to say I have probably about 3,000 subscribers or something like that, because I give away one of my MC books as like a free book, if you subscribe, kind of thing. So I've grown that subscriber list, but then the problem is once you hit a certain level, you can't use the free version anymore. You have to start paying for it. So they bump me up, and it's like $15 a month or whatever, and I've had it for so long, wasn't even really using it. So I found out about Substack, where Substack doesn't charge you anything. You can have as many subscribers as you want, and it's completely free. It's very easy still. It's almost like writing a blog post. You just drop in your images or your videos, whatever, you type in straight into it. And then when if you are using something like MailChimp or MailerLite, you can bring your subscribers right over to Substack and drop them in there. It's a very easy drag and drop thing. Bring your subscribers over there, or you can personally enter them if you have them like in your Google Docs and stuff, like Aaron said he did. And then same as any of the other services, you write your blog post or whatever, your newsletter post, hit send and send it out to all your subscribers, and it actually sends them the newsletter just like your other services would. But then it keeps it also in Substack, almost like a blog would. So you always have your old posts there inside of Substack, so kind of like an archive. And then if you go to mine is carverpike.substack.com. If you go there and type that in, it brings you straight to a page that says enter your email address if you want to enroll for my newsletter. And then, or it says right under that, you can click the link to go see like examples of the newsletter or whatever. So if you click that, then you're taken straight to the page that has like all the blog posts, or it looks like blog posts, basically every newsletter in a row. Right now there's only one, but it would have all of them kind of listed, because I've looked at some of the other people that are on there and stuff. So I like how it kind of keeps everything organized in one place. You could go there and read all the past issues if you wanted to, and then if you subscribe, you'll get the next one in your newsletter. So it's pretty cool, and it's completely free to anybody that's creating a newsletter. The only time you would pay is if you decide they give you options where you can monetize your newsletter if you wanted to sell your stories through it or something like that, and then they take like a percentage of it. So I think it's like 10% or something. But to me, it just seems like a no-brainer. It's totally free. I don't have to pay to send it out to people, no matter what my list grows to. Whereas the other ones just charge you monthly, and it keeps going up. So as you get more and more subscribers.
So that's good. It's, no cost, right? It's intuitive.
Yeah.
It looks user-friendly. Archives your posts like a blog. So like anybody who's subscribing and maybe missed like your past 10 letters, they can go back and see, if you put exclusive stuff in there. Like sometimes I'll put stuff about my readers in there, you know what I mean? Like if I do a recognition, or exclusive like illustrations from the book that I don't release elsewhere, to sort of give people an incentive and a sense of community. And I always do a YouTube video. I upload a YouTube video, usually thanking people, for their support, and then like explaining upcoming projects that I've got going on. So I think that's going to be a great tool, and I'm looking forward to using it. What do you think, Roland? Are you doing anything with like newsletters or anything like that?
Not really. I don't really think I have that big a following where I can benefit from it. I'm still like trying to get my material out there, learning the ropes. So as of this time, I haven't utilized any kind of newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, you do it at your own pace, you know what I mean? Like if you think that it's going to be that you could be better served inputting your time to creating stories and putting out material and growing your audience a little bit first, that makes sense, you know? Like, we're not, again, and like we said, a lot of people are probably listening to this for the first time, so this might not be applicable to those people releasing that first book because there's really, they're not going to have any emails. But, you know, maybe after that third or fourth or fifth release, you start seeing 100 likes when you post a book cover. If you see 100 likes when you post a book cover, definitely start creating a mailing list, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, this actually brings me back to a question. I know this was talked about during one of the panels at KillerCon about whether or not it's important to have a website too. Because when I started with this Substack, I was thinking, man, again, this makes me start to think, should I be paying? Because I have like carverpike.com. I don't pay for the .wix. You know, I mean, I pay for the actual like a hosting site and my website, and I pay annually for it and stuff. So I always come back to, I don't really use it that often. Do I really need it? You know, I was talking to Jules about this recently, especially with Substack. I'm like, I don't really want to go onto my website and write a blog post when I'm going to be doing newsletters on Substack, you know? But it's still nice to be able to know that if somebody goes to Google and types Carver Pike in, there is a website that'll pop up. You know what I mean? So I guess it's still nice to have a home where I can put all my books, and, you know, if anybody's looking for me, you know, maybe one day a publisher will look me up or something, and, you know, there is a place they can be directed to, you know, so. But still, I'm at that point where I'm like, do I really need to have a website? I don't know, you know?
Yeah, I just use the Wix site. And it's free, and, you know, yes, the address on it is 1,000,000 miles long, but if somebody Googles Daniel J. Volpe, that site pops up. So I don't usually use it. I went out the other day and just checked it out, and it's so outdated. I tried updating some of this stuff, but for me personally, I don't feel like it's, with the amount of social media that's out there, and like you said, with the mailing list and stuff. Not many people are Googling you, and if they do, a lot of the times the first thing in their search is going to be fucking Amazon. So if you Google yourself, you know, Carver Pike horror, it's probably going to pop up as with your Amazon page first, which, you know, for me, they can't buy anything off my website, but they can sure as hell buy it off Amazon. So unless you have like a buy button on your website, then...
And mine does, but it sends them to Amazon anyway. So.
And that's exactly what,
So... Just because it was easier to build that way, you know, it's really easy to put the link to click and go to Amazon, you know, rather than, you know, I guess technically I could sell books myself through the site, but then that's just a whole other thing to manage. So,
Hey Carver, the website you use, where did you create yours? Because mine is done through GoDaddy.
Well, that's where I buy my domain name, but I host it through HostGator.
Okay. Cool.
So I kind of use both.
All right.
Yeah, I use the Evil Examined website, and I have a branch off of Aaron Beauregard Horror there. So it's like I kind of use both. And in all my books, I put Evil Examined as the website in there. So
have y'all noticed, like after you send out a newsletter, that you get more feedback or more interaction from your audience or from readers, or is it? What are your feels on that?
See, I haven't done it. That's my problem, is that I haven't actually used it enough to know. But I know people who swear by them. Like I know authors that do very well who have told me like a huge percentage of their sales come from their newsletter. Like they would never, like they swear it's totally worth it, that they do get a big percentage of their sales from it. So.
And the thing is, that's kind of like the conversation we're having, right? Like, different things work for different people. A lot of it's timing, a lot of it's persona, and it's like, that's why, like, when you're listening to this podcast, nothing we say, well, not nothing, but a lot of the stuff is not set in stone, and it's variable. We're sort of kind of trying to give you a buffet table of ideas to pick from, and then you kind of got to put them together and sort of see what meal you can come up with that tastes the best, you know? And it's like, one thing may work awesome for me, another thing may not work good for Dan, or works good for Roland.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of trial and error, unfortunately, which can be frustrating. But I think overall, I'd say, like, a newsletter. I've heard some people say that they don't really work well for them, but it makes me wonder how much effort they're putting into it as well, and like how aggressive they are. I don't want to say aggressive, but how much time they invest in getting new subscribers, in creating incentives to be part of it, creating a sense of community, recognizing people. This all takes time. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna have a newsletter," and you guys want to sign up. Well, what the fuck's the newsletter about? Like, what's the point of it? Why should I sign? You know what I mean? Oh, do you want to see? Do you want to see exclusive photos of shit in the book before anyone else sees it? Like, do you want to have a chance to win a hardcover book? Do you want to see a video that is released of me in a stupid mask where I'm giving out details that I'm not really saying anywhere else? You got to create things. You know what I mean?
And it really depends. And I've seen. Daniel, sorry, man. You look like you're about to talk, and I jumped on it.
No, you're good.
I was just going to say it also. One of the arguments I've heard from a lot of different authors, too, is what you were just saying, basically, is how much should you invest in the not how much money, but how much time and effort should you invest in your newsletter? Because I've seen some, and again, a lot of this comes from the romance side, but I've seen some authors who invest very little time. I mean, it's literally just like a picture of their newest book, saying their name, like, "Hey guys, haven't talked to you in a few weeks. Just letting you know I'm still doing okay, and this is my newest book out on this date. You know, see you next month." And then it's like, and they're doing fine. People are clicking on that book every time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have authors who write, like if you look at Brian Keene, he pretty much his comes out weekly, man. That's I don't know that I could keep up with it weekly, but he pretty much just gives you a rundown of everything going on in life and, you know, his writing world and stuff like that. He puts a lot of effort into it, not necessarily with images and stuff, but just information. Whereas Jeff Strand, he said he puts in a short story every single time he writes a newsletter.
Yeah, I remember him saying that at KillerCon.
It's like, damn, man, that's a lot of work, man. And it might be a short, like, flash fiction piece or like just a short story, but it's still, I mean, to be able to write a short story for every single
he's interacting though, you know what I mean? Like, he's making a connection with the audience. That's the thing, and that's, you know, like, you want. That's why they say.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I want to write and like actually kind of connect. Where I've had authors say like, no, just put your information in there, and you're putting too much work on yourself, and that's just giving you're gonna burn out. You know what I mean?
Honestly, though, like it's not a lot of work. Like, for me to film a 5-minute video, then write just a couple quick paragraphs. It's literally just paragraphs about stuff that's happening. Throw a couple illustrations in there, right?
Yep.
It's not going to take more than a couple hours, even with the video. You upload a short video to YouTube, or I'm not even saying that everybody should do that, but I'm just saying, like, that's one thing. You know, that's why they say, like, cover blurbs that ask the reader questions are the ones that get the most eyeballs. You know what I mean? Because if you're asking them a question, you're interacting with them. You know.
So
whereas
I'm going to do a quick. I'm going to do another quick share screen on this, and I'm going to show you, because my newsletter, I kind of just winged it with it, but I kind of want to have something a little different than just text on a page. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but like you said, I like the interaction, and I like the images, and I think people appreciate that as well. And like you guys said, there's got to be incentive. So I've had 3 newsletters out, and my first one was just the first one, just, hey, thank you for signing up kind of thing. The second one, I ended up doing a giveaway on it, which wasn't anything crazy. It was a swag pack of some magnets and some bookmarks and stickers. And in the third one, I ended up releasing a exclusive information about an upcoming publication I had coming up that was not released before. So this is my newsletter, number 3. And you guys can see it's nothing crazy. It's got a little bit of humor in it, you know, the monthly-ish newsletter, because I try to keep it in the beginning of the month, but sometimes it doesn't happen. My awesome logo that I had a very good friend of mine make for me. You know, issue number 3, it just kind of gives you what's going on. I go down to my newest release, which I generally try to keep in there. And like Aaron said, this took me no time at all. It's drag and drop my images in. If you want, it accepts hyperlinks. I put in what I'm reading because people like to see that. I obviously cover this fucking awesome show in here. The Baker's Dozen, which we have coming up from Candace.
Yeah.
That is in here, and here's the exclusive content that is not exclusive anymore that I'm working with Death's Head. And then again, my giveaway winner from the month before, my monthly word count because people like to see what you're writing, and then my social media handles and a hyperlink for my Amazon page. So this literally takes me about maybe an hour to put all this together, and then I copy this and paste it into my next month, and then I just start changing things around. So it really isn't overly difficult to do. But like you guys said, you do have to put some time and some investment in it. And that I don't use any kind of special mail service. That was just me inquiring to people on social media, telling them, hey, I'm doing a newsletter. And it's just copying, pasting their email accounts into a Gmail contacts. And every month I go into there and I select my mailing list group. I put it into the blind carbon copy, which definitely do that because I did not the first time around, and sending it out to them. So it is doable, and I do get a lot of interaction back. People will email me back and start conversations, and I will gain sales and readers off of it. So
I like it. It's good.
So I think it's a safe bet if you guys want, if you have any kind of following, and you have the ability to put together, like if you've released a book or two and you have the ability to put together like a hardcover book or get yourself maybe a signed paperback with some swag, and go ahead and just make an announcement on social media. Also, if you want, you can brand your mailing list. Like I call mine the Maggot mailing list. And, if you want to create a branding with it, that can sometimes help. But go ahead and give something away and let people know, if they sign up for the letter, you're going to get cool updates before anybody else. I'm not going to inundate you with updates. It's going to be a monthly thing. And, you got a chance at winning something. And you're just starting out. Let them know, it's probably a small pool. Your odds could be pretty good that you come away with it,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I think, so really just to sort of recap before we close out with one other item, right? We talked about advertising, what works, right? Organic ads on social media, talked about paid ads a little bit. You're going to definitely want to use a combination of these, but building a social media presence is pretty critical. And art distribution, right? Probably that's not, something that you're going to build an art team when you release your first book. But as you continue to release, if you're in it for the long haul, definitely got to think about it.
Hey, Aaron, real quick on ARCs, there are websites that you can subscribe to. I think Booksprout is one of them that allows you to submit your book in there as an ARC, and people can go on there and pretty much read your book as an ARC. And there's certain things they have to fill out to make sure that they're going to fulfill it. And if they don't read it and leave a certain amount of reviews on certain websites, they won't be able to do it again. I think it's just Amazon and Goodreads, but I want to say it's Booksprout. It's
so
kind of a pain in the ass, but yes, there are websites out there where you can submit your book for ARC copies.
Yeah,
and it's funny.
Go ahead, Carver.
And also, in addition to that, I would say we should have mentioned this too, is a good service to use if you're not going to use like a Booksprout or something. If you are just going to send your book out to readers and stuff, try to use something like BookFunnel, where I use BookFunnel, and I do pay for it monthly and stuff. I think it's like $10 a month or something, but I can send the book to people and they only have one link to go get it, where it goes directly to like their Kindle. It's not where you're sending them like a .mobi file in the mail where that they can send to their friend, they can send to another friend and another friend, and it ends up on a boot site and that kind of stuff. I mean, through BookFunnel, they can it goes to one person. They have a certain amount of time to click that link and get the book, and just kind of keeps you a little more protected, I think. But
smart.
Yeah.
Does the Sprout cost, the one you were talking about, Daniel?
I've never used it. I have read ARCs on there, and for me personally, I've had 2 experiences with it, and I did not care for either of them because I would read the book, and then I'm trying to leave reviews, and there was issues, and things weren't saving, and I don't know if I was just having a problem with my computer or my phone that day, but I don't know if they charge or not. Okay. But it's definitely a viable option if somebody wants to check it out. It's Booksprout.
Yeah,
but
I
you
mean,
can submit your book.
we could probably explore it in the future too. You know, maybe
Yeah.
one of us will try it out and give you guys, the listeners, some feedback on it.
And I think we should have also mentioned, because we talked about this off the air, but talking about newsletters and stuff, you definitely need to mention BookBub too.
Oh, totally.
BookBub definitely works. I know for a fact it works because I know people that have made a shit ton of sales and money off of it. People I know personally. I've tried to get on BookBub myself and got denied. It's not the easiest thing to get on.
Yeah.
I don't think I tried with horror though. I think I tried on the romance side. Horror might be a little easier to get on because I think there'd probably be a lot less people submitting than there would be with romance. It's expensive, but I know if you can get on it, you can. I mean,
You're gonna make that money back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
You
people
will
that get on
make
it
money
swear by it. I mean, if you look at TikTok, you'll see people that are just like, "Oh my God, I got my first BookBub. I'm on there." Like people are so super excited to even land a BookBub because it's. I mean, in the process, you go on there, you choose saying yes, I'll pay you $300 or whatever it is to get on your BookBub thing, and you're still like, even though you're willing to pay all this money, it still sucks when you get that like denial letter. It's like,
Well, the thing is, I
I'm
mean,
denied, you know,
I know,
try to pay you money here.
I know, you know, some very, I would say, relatively prominent authors that got their BookBub ad and were able to quit their full-time job, you know, after they got that ad. Like that's how much of an impact in that. Obviously, they're a good writer and they're able to do that, but that's how the fucking tables can turn with something like that. That's how powerful that is. I mean, we haven't really gone into in depth on it, but I'm sure in the future we'll, because I actually plan on revisiting it. I tried to apply for an ad previously, but there's a bunch of different criteria that you got to meet, which I think this will be a good topic for a later episode. Like, there's a certain amount of ratings that the book has to have, like a certain amount of time that
I've heard it's hard to get one if you're in KU. That they don't really like authors that are specifically just on Amazon. They want you to be wide, I've heard. So
yeah.
I don't know what the truth is on that, but I've heard it's easier to land one if your books are wide than it is if you're just with KU. So,
Also, the book has to be a certain length. I tried to do it with the Slob, and it met like the rating criteria, but it did not meet the length criteria. So that's another thing, you know. So I think that'd be something cool. Maybe in one of the other episodes we could actually pull up the fucking criteria so people can get a peek at it, and you know, because it could be a game changer.
Absolutely.
So yeah, more to come on BookBub. But again, newsletters, incredibly important in my opinion, and I think most of you guys agree, especially in the day and age of social media banning. Like I said, you don't want to put your gnarly description of your horror book and something gets triggered with the censors and you got a 3-day ban when your book's being released tomorrow. If that happens, newsletter's pretty critical to let everybody know what's going down. Bloggers, always good, right? And podcasters. So any bloggers that are, you know, can be a good source of additional promotion. Book Talk, Bookstagram. So a lot to cover, honestly, with the release stuff. And I'm sure it's a topic we're going to revisit. But let's roll out on the last bullet, which is etiquette, you know. And just as far as promoting books, be smart about it. You know, don't bomb blast groups of horror books with your shit, like posting it every other fucking day.
Yeah.
And just shamelessly self-advertising. Look at the rules of the groups to see if there's any certain days that they allow people to post on. Do not direct message people with your fucking book link. No quicker way to lose interest and just look like a fucking douchebag. You know, especially
don't comment on other posts with your book stuff. That's annoying as shit.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I was actually watching a Twitch stream the other day of, I'm not going to say who it was, but an author doing a live NaNoWriMo, and somebody else jumped in his stream and was pretty much like, hey guys, I'm starting my stream in 4 minutes if you want to come watch me write. And that's like a fucking scumbag move And he got called out on it, but it's just the scumbag move. Like, this guy's trying to do something to promote his work, and then you have this fucking douche canoe jumping in and making his own, trying to rip fucking viewers away from you.
That's a leech move, dude. He's straight up leeching.
Yeah. Can't have that shit. So, yes, definitely be smart. Etiquette is important. We've talked about that before. And like Aaron said, if there's a page, read the rules. If you're uncertain or there's nothing that is definitive, contact an admin. It's super simple. Send them a fucking message. Can I post this on here? And again, don't just join a group and then as soon as they say an admin has approved you, start posting, spamming your book, because there's no quicker way for people to ignore you than for you to start spamming groups like that. So
I agree.
Yeah, like I'll typically do one post on obviously an approved day, usually like one post to sort of announce the book, and then usually a month later or so, one other post to fucking let you know like it's ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just be aware of the rules. And again, do not fucking direct link people through Messenger. It's the stupidest shit. It's a waste of your time. Honestly, anybody who ever sent me a fucking link, I'll say thank you, but it'll be the last time I look at it. You know what I mean? If you're a stranger, but
just ignore it.
Yeah, that's a quick way to get somebody pissed off, and not only that, but like we've said before, people talk. There was just somebody the other day who ended up, we've all seen him probably. He just will send a fucking private message with a stupid picture of his art, or asking, oh, do you think this would be a good book? And he got called out on it the other day, and he pretty much told the guy who called him out to go fuck himself, and that quickly got screenshotted and passed around to thousands of people. So now, even if this guy had a chance to try to do something with his writing or his art, he just pretty much screwed himself because he's not going about the proper way. So don't be that guy.
Yeah. You're just not going to help yourself that way. Your promotion has to be organic. People have to want it. You can't force it on them. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
We all want more readers, but if you try to force more readers on yourself, you're just going to drive them away.
Yeah. Because if you're begging people to read your shit, people are going to be like, well, no one's reading it, so why should I? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to be a natural thing. And then other people start talking about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's pretty much the Repulsive release, guys. I think we covered a lot. Definitely have some items to revisit here. I think after we build up the Substack, Carver, I know you're using it. I'm going to use it. I think we can talk more about that in the future. I think definitely BookBub, right? I think in light of this conversation, I'm going to try and get another ad and see if I can strike gold. And we definitely bless you. And we definitely need to fucking do an episode maybe just dedicated to BookBub after we learn a little more ourselves. Again, this is a learning process for all of us too. That's why we don't claim to have these definitive how-tos, but this is the best we got, guys.
Yeah. We're trying people.
Yeah.
So all right, it brings us to our reader recognition, which is always fun. Carver, did you say you had a reader recognition for this episode?
Yeah, I wanted to recognize a reader that goes on Facebook. She goes by the name Tiffany. She's been around on Facebook and in the groups and stuff. I know she's big in the horror world and really reading a lot of our works and stuff that are out there. She recently bought all of the Diablo Snuff books, reached out to me to ask, the order that they go in and which ones she needs to start with. And then she was like, just send them all to me, and got all of them. Mm-hmm. I know she's been going through a lot of stuff in her personal life and stuff, and horror has helped her a lot, our works, and a lot of the other authors' works too. She put a post in the Books of Horror group not too long ago, just saying how she really appreciates how authors are so approachable and willing to, talk to the readers and stuff like that, and comment on posts and offer feedback and, just reach out to the readers and stuff like that, and just how the community as a whole is just so awesome. And, and understanding and interactive and stuff like that. So I think she's really cool, and just wanted to make sure we recognize her and say thank you to Tiffany. Tiffany, you guys have any interaction with her?
Yeah, thank you, Carver. That's a great recognition. Tiffany is amazing. She's actually bought all of my books. She's pre-ordered the limited edition hardcover of All Smiles Till I Return To, and just relentless supporter, and just a true, like, she takes pride in her collection. You know what I mean? Like, her book collection, like, that's a big thing to her. You know, having all of these different books from the underground, so to speak, right? And I'm sure plenty of mainstream ones. But yeah, I've talked to her on several occasions, and it's always just been a total pleasure. And appreciate you, Tiffany. Thank you so much.
Yeah, same over here. She just pre-ordered one of my packages for Left to You. She's always a pleasure to talk to, on either in private message or just interact with on Facebook. You know, it's unfortunate that she's going through a rough patch, but you know, the fact that our stories can, you know, she can find solace in that is great to know. And again, she's just awesome. She's read just about all my stuff, leaves great reviews, and is a true supporter of horror. So Tiffany, thank you very much, and I know I appreciate you. Roland, do you have any interactions with Miss Tiffany?
I have not. She's on my Facebook. We're friends, so maybe I'll get to talk to her and meet her in future. She sounds like an amazing woman, and like I said, I'm always looking for new reader friends, so I'll send her a message to say hi.
You should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. I think that's it, guys, right? Well, I think one thing we could recap maybe is, though, that we are going to be at Scares That Care, the four of us, in April. We are working on an exclusive project that's going to be super fucking cool. We actually talked through it a little bit more and have a little more foundation maybe for the direction that we're going in with it. And it's going to be something special. I'm super excited about it.
A lot of fun.
Totally.
Yes.
And if the stars align, maybe that'll be ready by the time we get to Scares That Care. But anybody who's planning on going, I know a few of my readers are going. I'm looking forward to saying hi in the flesh and, you know, letting them know I appreciate them.
And this is Scares That Care, April 1st in Williamsburg, Virginia, not the summer one. This is the Scares That Care AuthorCon that we are attending.
Thank you.
So, yeah, make sure you guys get your tickets as soon as possible for that. The four of us are going. We are going to make fucking blanket tents in our room and have pillow fights. So if you guys want to come, we're going to have two teams, so more the merrier. It's going to be a good time.
I'm planning on getting parasitic head lice while I'm there.
I'm going to get crabs. I'm going to get Aaron's head lice in my crotch. It's going to be nice. But,
well, I was just going to say, now mine's more serious. I was just going to say, also, you can grab a copy of Baker's Dozen, too, because we'll all be there for that, too. So,
good call.
And So Sorry. We're going to have copies of So Sorry.
Actually have copies of that there. I don't know, but...
Yeah, I know I'm ordering some to bring with me. I might have them left by then. Aaron and I should have copies of So Sorry. If not, we'll probably order some more. And this super top secret fucking collaboration the four of us are doing, the Gore 4 Gangbang, as I like to refer to it.
Just give us a new name.
I'm hoping it will be.
I think Roland and I should write a book together. So Sorrier. Like right across from you guys.
You should. And then we're going to come over there and fucking kick your asses.
The gangbang boys, you know?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. So it's been great. I hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving. And next week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about social media in general, I think. A necessary evil. Not next week, but next episode, I should say. So we have some time dedicated to social media, a necessary evil, and don't feed the trolls. An important conversation that your career could very well depend upon. So, and I guess we could do our outros again. I am the Splatterpunk Award-nominated author Aaron Beauregard, and my new book is All Smiles Until I Return. It could be available potentially in paperback and hardcover at this point, and ebook on Amazon, but you can always reach out for signed author copies. And I got some, signed copies of pretty much everything. Digital, Danny?
Digital Daniel Volpe, author Billy Silver. You know the fucking drill. My newest book, Left to You, is out. You guys pick that up, and by the time this airs, my book from Death's Head Press should potentially be out. But you're gonna want to check that out. It's gonna be fucking really brutal. Mine, Carver. What about you?
Carver Pike. I'm everywhere. It's Carver Pike on social media and on Amazon, and yeah, that's about it. Roland.
No, you're supposed to say Raw Dog Roland.
Raw Dog Roland. What's
Raw
wrong?
Dog
with
Damn it!
We had a thing going on. You fucked it up.
Fuck piece of shit. Go ahead, Roland.
Fuck me.
Roland Bursey Jr. Find me on my website, rolandburseyjr.com, on Amazon, on Facebook, on Twitter, and yeah, nice to meet you guys.
All right.
Don't forget our author spotlight today, Ryan Harding. Check out his shit. The Reincarnage, Maximum Carnage, Reincursion, Pandemonium, Genital Grinder. You can't go wrong with something from Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead. Send him a friend request on Facebook. Follow him on Instagram to keep up with the updates. He's been releasing a lot of new stuff as of late. You do not want to miss out. And again, we are the Written in Red podcast. Until next time, keep it 100% horror.